This is a two-part review that we're going to have where they cover the under-21s and under-18s. This is the under-18s. So, Tony, under-18s, how have they done this season?
Well, considering we're bottom of the league for the first time in our history, I would say pretty diabolical.
That's pretty fair, I would have thought. What's the reasons behind that?
I think there's a few reasons. I think the quality coming through the under-16s over the last few years has not been as great. I think that's the first thing. I think secondly, we're not offering as many contracts to a lot of the lads that we have done in the past. So the actual pool of resources that Paul McGuinness has got has been a lot less. So when you've got less players and less quality, that's obviously going to show on the pitch. And the third thing that's happened is because of the lack of players at under 21 level, Warren Joyce has taken the likes of Timothy Fosu-Mensah, Axel Tuanzebe, Roshan Williams and one or two others, Marcus Rashford and so forth. And so Paul has been stripped of his best 4 or 5 players, and as a consequence, the team's struggling. However, it's terribly, terribly disappointing to see United at the bottom of the table when our history at A-team level, which is the youth level under 18s, has been probably the best in certainly the UK, if not anywhere else in the world. And it's just really, really disappointing.
Like you said, injuries and the under-21 situation has played a massive part into these results. But should we pay too much importance, or should we put too much importance on the results of under-18s matches? Isn't it about development, or do we want to see results?
I think it's a great question, Stephen, and there's a lot of talk about at academy level it's all about development. And I think at under-16 level, I totally agree with that. And as a consequence, they don't have competitive league standings. I think when you get to under-18s, it's a different ball game. You've got to remember, these kids are 17 years old. If they were anywhere else in the world, they'd either be going to university or they'd be getting a job. They would be living in an adult world, and many of them are turning professional. That means they are now professional footballers for Manchester United. How could you possibly say that it's not about being competitive? I think one of the things that we need more of at under 18 level is a competitive culture, a competitive environment, and I certainly think we need a more competitive league. These players are not. When I watch the under-18s, one of my criticisms is it's a vanilla league. You're seeing really nice players playing really nice football, but there's no guts and thunder. And by the way, I'm not advocating stupidity. I'm just talking about grit, determination, character, communication, leadership, desire, those things that... Because if you get a really good 17-year-old, and we've spoken about Timothy Fosu-Mensah, and he's that age, and all of a sudden Van Gaal says, we need someone, let's give him a chance. You can't say, oh, where's he going to get the grit and determination? If he hasn't got it either by his own personality, then the coaching staff at the club should be instilling this into these players from that under-18 level. And if you go back just a few years to the under-18s of the 2010-11 year, who won the FA Youth Cup, you had Jesse Lingard, who, don't make any mistakes, he was a gritty, gnarly little player. He's got a little edge to him, has Jesse. You had Ryan Tunnicliffe, you had Ravel Morrison, you had Paul Pogba, you had the Keane brothers, you had one or two. They were hard players. Tom Thorpe, they all could mix it when they needed to. You had leadership, you had a very competitive mindset.
It was no coincidence that they went so far as they did in the FA Youth Cup either.
Absolutely, and I think if you look at a lot of the youth teams around, one of the things that we find fascinating on the sidelines is when the opposition score against us, it's like they've scored the World Cup winning goal with their celebrations. And while I'm not advocating that we should go that far, what I don't see is that real competitive bite in a Manchester United academy. And I just don't believe that under 18s it's still development. Yes, they are developing, as young adults will always do. I think the competitiveness should be starting there. I would like us to see much more gritty performances from our clubs, digging in, but still playing the Manchester United way. We've done it in the past, we should still be doing it now.
We've spoke about the lack of depth at this level, and we are aware of a few signings being made and also of a few signings in the pipeline. Do you want to tell people a little bit about the ones that we know have happened already?
Yeah, there's a young Irish lad, Lee O'Connor, who has been playing for the Ireland under-16s.
Captain as well.
Captain of the under-16s. I'm not sure about the under-17s, whether he's upgraded to that level. Very well thought of. I know a couple of other European teams are interested in him.
Real Madrid.
Real Madrid were interested in him. I've seen him a couple of times playing for the under-16s on trial before he signed at right back. Looks comfortable on the ball, pretty pacey. I'm looking forward to seeing him next season. The other lad that we've signed is Chong from Feyenoord. I've only seen him on YouTube. He looks classy. He looks very light and aggressive on the ball, wants to get forward a lot. But that's all I've seen. I've only seen him on YouTube. He has been playing with our under-16s, but I've not had a chance to see him live yet. And the other person who we've signed is Burkhardt from FC Zurich, who's a Swiss youth international for FC Zurich, for the Swiss team. And I haven't seen him play, but the reports I'm getting out of Carrington, he's a very exceptional player as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how those three players, and maybe one or two others that we're looking at, will be integrated into the 16s, the under-18s next season to help Paul McGuinness buffer the side with a little bit of quality.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think we're going to see Manchester United's under-18s next season, especially if we hope Angel Gomez does step up to that level. He should be an absolute first-choice regular by then, and hopefully putting it on teams. We should see a bit of a turnaround in form. Who is the one to watch from the under-18 side, in your opinion?
Well, I think there's a couple of players that people have been talking about in recent times. Callum Gribben's obviously a very skillful player. You've got Marcus Rashford is still playing at that level. I mean, I think he's come on a treat with his... he reminds me of Fraser Campbell, funny enough, does Marcus, but a lot quicker, a lot more direct. The one that I'm really enjoying watching play at the moment is a young fullback called Terrell Warren. And Terrell, if anybody reminds me of Paul Parker, it's Terrell Warren. And for those supporters who remember Paul, good in the air, aggressive, quick in the tackle, likes to put the ball and the player in row Z. He's got a couple of ticking off from the referees on occasions for being a little bit too aggressive. But I like that in a player, particularly a fullback. He can play as a wing back, moving up forward and getting up to support the attack. He's quick. I like him a lot. He's got that Paul Parker stamp all over him.
Oh, so there you go. That's the one to watch. That's our under-18s review. Check out the next part where we cover the under-21s and we talk about the director of the academy and what that means going forward. Thank you for watching. See you soon.
And he seems to be relishing in that responsibility, and also he's involved more. Sometimes wingers, they can drift in and out of games and they're not so involved. By putting him as fullback, he's got really involved in the play, but because he's a winger by nature, he's able to bomb forward and support the attack.